All right, all right, all right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of Talks with V. We're here live with the HBCU Lounge Network, and this evening we are talking confidence. So, welcome, 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 everyone. And go ahead and take this opportunity to share this link with someone, your friends, your family, or just anyone you think needs to hear this conversation or just wants to tune in. Go ahead and share that link right now. All right. Well, this evening we have the beautiful Rachel Yvonne, who exemplifies femininity and confidence. We are so excited to have you with us this evening. And next we have RJ, who is a men's confidence coach. And he's someone that I admire. So, welcome to the both of you. I would like to take the opportunity to have you guys introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit more about you and what it is that you do and how long you've been doing it. So, Rachel, I would love to hear from you first about what you do.
Yeah, hello. I'm so grateful to be able to be here today and to be on this show again. I believe this is the second time I've been on this show, and so I'm excited to talk about this. My name is Rachel Yvonne, and I help women who are married and single to live their dream life. We talk about femininity, sexuality, and most importantly, your divinity. And I've actually been doing this work specifically for 3 years, but I've been coaching and mentoring for about I want to say 15 years, maybe.
Mhm.
And pretty much my whole life has been about this. So I'm excited to be able to talk about this today. And I look forward to this conversation.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for being here. And next we have Mr. RJ. Okay, so RJD, the Imperfect Gentleman. So I absolutely love your title. I believe like within your title, you're already sharing with the person that you can be confident and still imperfect. And so I would love for you to tell us a little bit more about you, your brand, what you do, and then tell us how you came up with the name, The Imperfect Gentleman.
Well, first and foremost, positive energy and good vibrations from me to you, to everyone on this beautiful platform. Thank you so much for having me. I find this an honor and a privilege to be here. And shout out to my sister Rachel. It's been a little minute since we spoke. This is my homegirl from Clubhouse, so it's great to see you in person now. I'm
Yeah.
excited just to be in this environment right now. So part of my jitters. But I am a men's character and confidence development coach. I help men build their character and their confidence because I at one time lost my confidence in who I was, and I know what that feels like. I know that how that's like a close step to the depression. So my goal is to make sure that there's no men on the face of this earth devaluing himself and making sure that he understands he's worth more than he think he is. Because without understanding of who you are and whose you are, you're walking this journey with your eyes closed. And it's a very, very dangerous situation that so many of our young men are living their lives just not being confident in who they are. So my journey and my purpose in life is to make sure that every man understands that he's more than a conqueror. He understands that his purpose in life is not just to be who he is for himself, but to his family and the community and the world around him. So that's who I am, what I do. The name, right? The name, where it come from. That name came from about 2 years of trying to figure out who I was, right?
Mhm.
So I've always been a man that understands that you got to be a gentleman, right? My grandmother, my mother did not let me walk around this earth not being a gentleman. I would get in trouble days in and days out by not holding doors and just being a complete gentleman. But the one thing I've always learned, that I'm not perfect. There's so many things about me that's not perfect. And at the end of the day, there's not one man on this earth walking is perfect. So I just wanted to make sure and embody that and let men know, like, yo, listen, you ain't got to be perfect to be a gentleman. You can be an imperfect one and still just be the man that God's called you to be. So that's where the name came from, the Imperfect Gentleman.
Yes, I love it. I love that. It's just like it's that opportunity to be vulnerable and relatable at the same time. Because we need
Absolutely.
to see that. A lot of times it comes down to reflection, being able to see someone who you relate to or see yourself in and see them do things that you want to do and be better. And then you feel it inspires something inside of you that you can do better or be better.
And I can
So
give you the definition of a name. So the definition of an imperfect gentleman is a
yeah.
man that has imperfections and he's not looking at them as excuses, but opportunities to become better than who he was yesterday.
I love that. Love it, love it, love it. Because that's what it is every day that you get up. It's like, well, I get to be better. I woke up,
Still
and
breathing.
because I woke up,
Right.
I can do things different and be the person that it is that I, desire to be. So, yes, thank you. And speaking of definitions, I love to have them because I think a lot of the times, we'll go through life thinking a word means something, and it's something totally different. Literally get into arguments about words and what they mean to you, and a lot of the times we're thinking the same thing, but it's just our relationship with them. So first, I want to go over the definition for confidence. So confidence is the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something, firm trust. And then the next definition is self esteem. Self esteem is confidence in one's own worth or abilities, self respect. And so, what I get from that is confidence is kind of more of an outward thing, an outward feeling, and self esteem is an inward feeling. And I was kind of actually excited about that because I guess I had a different perspective about confidence and self-esteem before this show. Because, I like to do my little research before. So I'm not y'all are the experts, but, I can know a couple things. So definitely. So I wanted to kind of jump into our first question, and that is, what are some of the misconceptions about confidence? Because just like there, I had my own ideas about what confidence actually means. So, so what are some of the misconceptions about confidence? And
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead, Rachel.
No, I love this conversation. I love what Mr. Imperfect Gentleman said as well, like the idea
Mm,
of, men as well around confidence. And I think one of the misconceptions we can have about confidence, and even sometimes people have this, even about me or anybody that you kind of might view as being confident, is
mhm,
arrogance. And I think that, to me, what I've understood is that sometimes people can misunderstand confidence for arrogance. But
mhm,
that's also, I've noticed that the people that think that usually have some kind of insecurity.
mm.
And so it's also a double-edged kind of sword. And so
Mm.
that's one of the main misconceptions about confidence that I'd love to start with today.
Love that. Love
Yes,
that.
indeed. Yes, indeed. Let me tell you, my thing about, and it's not my thing. I've heard it before, but the only person who's going to call you arrogant is when your confidence meets their insecurities, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you
Mm-hmm.
hit a nerve, right? When the fact that you built yourself up to a certain level, and whatever you say or you've done or you've made a move that struck a nerve to them, that's when all of a sudden you become arrogant. There's some
Mm-hmm.
personal development work that has to be done on the other side of that spectrum. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
can look at someone and call them arrogant without knowing their story, you're just ignorant. You don't know the
Right.
hell that that person's been through to get to where they are right now.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that that's a really a good point, and you don't think about that. And a lot of times we don't like to admit those things to ourselves because our insecurities, they scare us. But for me, I know I'm personally getting better about just like taking it head on, because it's
Mhm.
just like, when you're afraid of something, and it's just like, well, if you go ahead and just take the hit, and then it's over. I mean, it's not over, but like that thing that's controlling you, that is crippling you, that part is over. You're like, oh, okay. It
That's
hurt,
true.
it stoned a little bit, but I'm okay, like, and that proves something to you, that like I'm still standing. So now you're like, I can move, like I can move forward. And so I love that, about the arrogance part, that it's kind of touching on. It's making people feel uncomfortable. It's just like, wait a minute, you can't do that because I feel like I can't do that. I can't be that. So you can't, you don't have any business, being that, if I can't do it. And so love that. I love that. Makes us have to be accountable.
And
Yeah.
Um,
I would also say one of the main misconceptions about confidence is that people who are confident don't have insecurities.
Mm.
mhm,
Like, yo, the most confident people in the world have the most insecurities in the world.
mhm.
They
Right.
just know how to deal with them and how to battle against them. So you
Mhm,
can't look at someone else. Once again, and not knowing their story, what they've really been through, and judge them based upon what you think. Because your most confident person that you call confident have some of the worst demons in their world they're dealing with behind closed doors.
Right. Definitely. It's like how you present, but we'll get into that. So next we want to talk about what are some of the benefits of being confident. And then we can kind of touch on those differences of different types of confidence as well. So I'll let you go ahead and speak on that. Rachel, what would you say, are some of the benefits of being confident?
Yeah, to me, I feel as though what the main benefit of being confident is, of course, the results that being confident brings. So, of course, when you are a confident person, you're assertive, you know who you are. And so when I think about confidence, confidence comes from knowing who you are. And I think that inner knowing of your own self-confidence, your own self-concept, your self-awareness as well, that's really a major benefit. And that's really how, just like we were just saying, that's how you're able to show yourself as being more confident, even though you have insecurities, because we know how to deal with them, we know how to make ourselves more confident. You look better, you feel better, your life is better when you are confident. And the original idea of confidence for me actually comes from knowing that, because I am a believer, so my everything is about like who God has made us to be. When you
Right.
know that and you don't allow anyone to change your mind, that's what matters. Because I've been through all sorts of experiences, I'm sure we all have too, where it could shake your confidence, and it does for a little bit until you remember who you are. And so I think that confidence, when you are confident, it literally, a bad day for those of us who kind of grow in confidence, who are a bit more confident than other people, a bad day, a bad moment doesn't affect like our entire life. Like we wouldn't take even just setting up for this, I've had to change devices. Someone who doesn't have confidence in who they are as a woman or in the conversation, that would have probably derailed this whole interview. But because I'm just like, whatever, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. We're going to have this conversation regardless.
Right.
It meant that that doesn't have to affect what's going on. And I love what Tammy just said, because that's what I was going to say about a misconception is as well, is that you can grow in confidence. You don't have to be born confident. You
Right.
can become confident right now. Take a class, work with a coach, and you can become confident. You can grow in confidence. And so that's something as well that I wanted to just quickly add there.
And that's very interesting too, because even in the process of, advertising for the show, there was a couple of different TED Talks and videos that I came across. And one of the guys mentioned that, confidence can't be taught. And I think that's kind of like subjective, right? Because it's like, well, what do you mean when you say it can't be taught? I think that you can develop confidence, like you said, you can grow, in your confidence. Essentially, you are being taught because you're learning it. So when you're learning something, you're being taught. It's just the who. It may be your experience that is teaching that, and typically that's what it is, because it's something that has to be developed. And so when you keep doing something over and over and over and over, and let's say you fail, so many times, eventually you're going to have no error because you've done it so many times that you're confident in yourself, and you're like, I can't get this wrong. I've done all of the wrong ways that there possibly is. So now I know that they exist, which goes back to the self-awareness, being aware. You can't mess up. And so that confidence is like, we here. But RJ, I know you wanted to speak to that as well. Some of the benefits, of confidence, and then please touch on those different types of confidence as well.
The benefits are endless to confidence, right? They are endless. First and foremost, we have to understand what confidence is. Confidence is the first pillar to any and every success in your life. Without confidence, you can't do nothing. Like, you will be crippled by your brain, because remember, this tool we have is ancient, y'all. This brain we have is the same brain our forefathers had. This hasn't been updated. So if you're not building yourself and learning more about, like my sister Rachel said, who you are and whose you are. Because let me tell you something, when you're anchored in whose you are, There's no hell, no high water. There's no comments. There's no concerns of anyone else that can shake you off your rock, because your confidence is in whose you are, right? And whose you are doesn't change. And one thing I tell about my guys and about confidence building is that it comes from a strong character. Now, what is character? Let's think about what a letter is, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Those are characters. Now, why do we call those characters? Because A is always going to be A. B is always going to be B, and so forth and so on.
Like
so when you have that kind of character within yourself, when you know who you are, no matter what circumstance or situation, you got confidence that cannot be shaken. And the benefits of that is health, happiness, joy, freedom. Social anxiety disappears. The fact that you can't even have clear thoughts dissipate, because now you know who you are and what you're about. So confidence frees your mind of all kinds of things that the world around us distracts us and puts on top of our back. So confidence is the number one thing you need in your life.
And I will say this as well. I love that, RJ. And I will add to this. I say that when people ask me, like, what's the difference between like me and someone else? I'm like, literally, I don't allow a bad day or bad moment to derail my purpose. And I know that, you know, it really does go back to knowing who you are. I know that I can't mess it up. So as far as I'm concerned, it's fine. It's going to be okay. Everything's always working out for me. And so because you already have that confidence, it means that if I go on a date, or if I get into a relationship, things don't work out, or somebody says this about me, or this happens, it's okay. Like, it's actually okay. And that's the difference, because the benefits is that you're able to bounce back quicker. It doesn't mean you bypass things, because of course, to be confident, you must do the inner work. But it means that we're able to bounce back faster, and we learn from our lessons, because we realize, hey, wait a second, there's a chink in my armor. I need to fix that. So these benefits are endless, just like RJ said, completely endless.
Oh, I love it so much. And, you know, it's so interesting. I love that, you know, that you both are, you know, spiritual and believers. It just makes me think about the prayer that, you know, I don't pray it all the time, but when I am being present, I pray to God and I say, God, help me to see myself the way you see me, because I know if it's just me, it might be a little shaky, you know, but if I can see myself the way that God sees me, and, you know, with that purpose, you know, in mind, I know that I'll be more confident, because I'm like, you know, if I'm seeing it through your eyes, you know, seeing myself the way you see me and the way, you know, what you meant for me to be, I can be confident in it, because I know I can't, you know, fail, because you see the things I can't see, you know. And so yeah, it's like, okay, let me, you know, get him the spirit, and I'm gonna know how to move, you know, going forward. So I love that. Love what both of you said. All righty. And so next we have, how does the lack of confidence impact our romantic relationships, work, family relationships, friendships? How does it impact those relationships? Because I think some people, uh, a lot of times, they don't really think about, you're not just living here for you, like you are impacting people whether you like it or not. So how does it affect those relationships? Miss Rachel, I would love for you to address it first.
Sure. No, I think that it could greatly affect your relationships. And I think that typically, you know, one of my favorite things to say is, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you lack in confidence, then you're going to believe that you should settle for mediocrity, that you should settle for the bare minimum, that you let people walk all over you, you don't have any standards because you don't have any for yourself. So what happens is that you accept, you know, the concept of struggle love. You might also, it can get very extreme. You can accept abuse in all forms and believe that you deserve it. So then, because you don't have the rights, back to the original idea of like the right self-concept of knowing who you are, that translates into how you do relationships. So then you won't walk away from a marriage or a situation that is making you sick physically, because that can happen, or bringing you down or whatever, because you believe that if you leave, you won't get anything better. So those things will change how you date, how you marry, how you conduct yourself in all sorts of situations.
Word,
And
yeah.
I will tell you that I've walked away from things to other people look really good. But
Touch on it.
and people are just like, oh, but he's amazing. I'm just like, yeah, he is, but that's just not going to be a great fit for me. And it
Right.
shows that I don't have a lack mentality. When people ask me, like, I live in an area where currently live in an area where there aren't many Black people, and also all my friends that date here, they say things like people only go on coffee dates, blah blah blah. All of my dates are at that we have like only 2 or 3 really like luxurious restaurants here. They always take me there. Like, that's where we go,
Right.
because they understand who they're talking to. So I don't have the
Exactly.
same experience as other people, because I don't have the same self-concept. So when people are like, oh, there's nobody here, there aren't enough men in general, like just in general, especially Christians, oh, there's not enough men. I'm like, I'm the asked out all the time. I'm always with somebody, with a few actually, like, that's and
Come
until
on.
I'm married again,
Work it, girl.
listen, until I'm married again, that's how it's gonna be. And I
Yes.
don't make it a secret. So
Right.
then people are like, oh, do you think that your life will reflect negatively? And I'll tell you guys this, and for everyone watching, maybe I said too much, but I'll say this, is that since I've been more vocal about my standards, would you believe that better men approach me?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I go on more dates than I did before, or see more people, and they're like, they love it, because they're like, oh, a challenge, they think it's funny. They're like, oh, we can't take Rachel here because she's going to complain. Yes, I'm going to complain, and you'll see a YouTube video about you. Yes, you will.
Oh,
And so they're like, okay, I have to be better. So it's the opposite what we think happens. Obviously, I don't
yes.
say names, but they know it's them,
Yeah.
and things like that. So that's how I say it affects your confidence in relationships.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Listen. Yo, listen, y'all better not play with this woman. You hear me in these streets?
Right.
Hey, Kings, if you're gonna step correct, you better step correct. But
That's right.
and I've seen this firsthand in my relationship, right? I'm gonna give you a quick story. So a few months ago, my wife, she loves John Legend. And I spoke about this on my platform before, but she loves John Legend. And this year, first time in my life, I was in a financial situation where I can get her tickets to go see the gentleman perform. And I bought the tickets, front row. Everything is phenomenal. Everything is great. But the week before this event, I was just weighed down. I was heavy. I just couldn't find myself to get myself excited to be with her in the same level of excitement she was on. Every time she'd see me, she would go from having the excitement to this drop because my energy was so low. Long story short, we get to the concert. We're sitting down, we're having a good time. She's standing up and John's singing the song and she's looking, and as I'm sitting down in the chair, I look over at her and I look at her face and I look at her watching John Legend, and I realized in that moment I wasn't as confident as I think I was as a man and a husband. There was still some work I needed to do, because there are some insecurities in places in our lives that we don't know is there until we have them activated. See, here I am thinking I'm this big macho man, my wife, and let me tell you something. My wife is a phenomenal queen. She's given me everything I've asked for and above. She's never in my life made me think or feel that she was doing anything behind my back or beside me, right? So to the natural eye, it would seem like, why does RJ feel this way? Why is he feeling so uncomfortable about his wife looking at John Legend? The truth of the matter is I had insecurities that I hadn't dealt with yet. So what happened was I watched the event that was supposed to be one of the glorious events in her life have the energy sucked from it because I wasn't right. See, because my confidence level at that point was now affecting her because she couldn't enjoy what I had for her.
Right.
So the effect of low confidence on a relationship can be awful. It can zap the relationship. It can take the love out of the room, because one person begins to think, what did I do wrong? And the other person is saying to themselves, I don't deserve love. I don't deserve this. I'm not worthy of being loved. And these are all the things that I'm saying to myself subconsciously because I have abandonment issues from my father. See, it's a lot deeper than the surface when you talk about building confidence. This is why I tell everybody, if you want to build confidence, you got to get beyond the surface. You got to figure out what's causing this thing to stop you from being your natural self, because our natural, authentic selves from the creator of God is confident.
Right.
So if there's something wrong in that space, there's something that's not right, you got to check on that. And me finding that out was I found that I wasn't as confident as I thought I was, and it was affecting my relationship in a way that I didn't know. So after that, I did some therapy. I spoke to my wife about it, which was the hardest part of it all. Speaking to her about my lack of confidence in that area. Because her first question to me was, what did I do wrong?
Right.
And the truth of the matter, she didn't do anything wrong. It was the work that I had not done for myself yet. So answer the question, low confidence can destroy a relationship, and it can destroy your own personal life.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Wow. Honestly, that's so beautiful, like for you to even share that with us. And I think that only a confident person can even share that in a public forum. And that's the thing as well, is that confident people, we are willing to do the work.
Yes.
And, you know, something similar, not quite, happened to me. I was dating someone who is very confident. Everybody like thinks he's like amazing, whatever. And I realized that actually he had some abandonment issues, kind of like what you were just saying from the past. And that was why he kind of like was this kind of like, to some people, very arrogant, very just like outgoing, and this kind of like person. But then I'm very careful, like, because, you know, I talk about femininity. So for me, a man who is like very alpha and masculine, which is who he is, one thing that I learned to speak to him was to always like let him know that he's doing a good job, because I knew that he hadn't been told that by his mother.
Reaffirming.
Yes. And that kind of like, even though there was work to be done, like with all of us, we're all we're both the expert and a work in progress, you know. Like, we're doing both of those things at the same time. And so I would say to him, like, hey, like, you know, when I think about your history and like what you've done in your life, you really have turned things around. Like, I know you're not there 100% with certain areas around your mom or around your siblings, but where you are right now is amazing. And I think that even little things like that, when a woman is with a man who is strong and is very confident, but does still have, you know, some areas that he's working on, we can help that. Not by now I want everyone to hear me correctly, because I'm not saying that we should be emotional rehab centers for men. I am not saying that. What
Please don't do that.
No, don't do that, because sometimes in our communities we can allow that. Let's just say that that is something that's very prevalent in our communities, that we just think that that's a part of the, you know, struggle and arguments and all those kind of things are a part of like the life. It doesn't have to be. I would just say that. And so I think one thing we can do as women on our side is that, yeah, he's Superman, but you also need to remind him, like, hey, you know, when you're Clark Kent, I love you just as much. Or just constantly affirm like all the things that he's doing. He's working hard. Maybe he's running multiple businesses. Maybe he's a father. All the things that he's doing, and just kind of letting him know that, listen, I know everybody else sees you as this like amazing speaker, this podcast person, this whatever, entrepreneur, blah, 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 millionaire, whatever the names you want to give him. But I see you and I see the work you're doing. And so we can enhance his confidence even more when we speak to, as I guess TD Jakes puts it this way, the king in him, like speak to what's there. I'm not talking about potential now, ladies. If you want to know about that, you should follow me. But I'm not talking about potential. I'm talking about when he's actually showing the fruit. He's still human. So you need to also build up his confidence daily with affirmation. So I love that situation that you just shared about here, RJ.
I know, so beautiful. This is why this is why I admire both of you. I just feel like you guys are great examples. And it's not to just, you know, gas you or anything like that. It's just the simple fact of like really, you know, acknowledging, you know, those strengths in each other, because we grow from conversations, we grow from watching. You just never know how many people are looking and watching you, so that they can say, you know what, I can get up, you know, I can, you know, get some motivation. So I love that. I love that transparency. Okay. And so next we'll go into this false confidence. What does it mean to have false confidence?
Hold
Yes,
on.
sir.
Because I forgot one thing. Because see, Rachel said something that was very point. That was a very valuable point. Expectations and standards, right? Whenever your confidence is low, so will your expectations. And then sad to say, so will your standards.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else is. Like,
Definitely.
if you don't have the belief in yourself that you're worth what you're worth, there's no one gonna pay that price. Like, think about this right now. If we go into a Bentley store right now and they're telling us like, yo, you know what, this Bentley, I don't know, it's around a few dollars, and
Mm-hmm.
you'd be like, wait a minute, this guy's bugging. He's not confident in what he's selling right now. I'm not
Right.
buying it. But
Exactly.
another gentleman walks up to you and tells you the specs of this car, lets you know what's going on with this car in details, looking you in your eye, you're going to be more willing to buy from him because he believes in the product. And
Right.
if you want somebody to believe in you and take you seriously in life, you got to believe in yourself first and foremost. So I just wanted to touch on that. If you want high expectations and you want your standards to be high, you got to have high confidence. It's a must.
Mm-hmm. Right. You have to be able to speak to that, right? Like, what is it that you're putting down? What is it that you're selling? And, I had a marketing teacher, and he said, everything is sales. We sell ourselves all the time, because he's like, I had to sell my wife on why she should marry me.
Yes.
And I was like, that's right. Like, let me know why, how is this going to benefit my life? Like, how are you going to come into it and make it better? And there's nothing wrong with that. I know sometimes, people get a little offended about, when people say, well, what do you have to offer? What are you bringing to the table? And I think it's the bringing to the table part that sets them off. But it's just basically saying, what do you have to offer? Like, how are we going? He's got the rock eyebrow.
This is my BS alert. Like, when I hear that, it's like, wait a minute, what do I bring? The question is, what are you bringing to the table? And it's okay to ask the question, because as an individual, you're supposed to have something to offer to another individual.
Right, exactly. We are supposed to be able to build. Iron sharpens iron. So I need to know, can you sharpen this iron?
Talk to me nice.
Hey, Ree, I actually wanted to address the question that our sister posted about what if he doesn't have any. I know we're going to do Q&A later, but I didn't want to forget the answer.
No, it's okay. They just go, we do it as it comes in. So
okay, no worries. So my answer to that question of like, what do you do if he doesn't have any confidence? Personally, I don't think we should be dating men who don't have confidence. And that's, I can only tell you what works for me and what works for the women that I work with. So I wouldn't date someone who doesn't have confidence. I have dated someone in the past who was, low in confidence. It doesn't work very well because you need to be at the similar levels, or it's just not going to work that well. So my first thing is, I don't advise it at all. Like, I think that we should not be in those kind of, for a woman. I think the other way around could work, but I think a woman needs to be with a man who's very confident in himself, because that will show you a lot of things in his work ethic. Because a man who lacks confidence probably doesn't work. He doesn't do well at work either. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it will impact.
It's transferable.
It's transferable everywhere. So that means that he might not go for the pay rise. You know what I mean? Like, these little things, you have to kind of see the patterns. And the second thing I would say around a man who doesn't have confidence is that you will end up mothering as well. Yes, cancel. Yes. Because I just think it's not going to work well in the long run. It will be nice for now, but you'll end up being his mother as well. Like, we end up mothering. Because women, we're natural nurturers. So we just have to be careful of that. So rather than add more problems to marriage, because relationships and marriage already comes its own challenges, I'll say, not problems, challenges. But let's start at a better place so then we can have a better marriage. So then for me, I think for a woman to be with a man who lacks confidence, it's not going to go very well for you.
Right. And that's very true. One thing that I've noticed, and I know it can seem harsh to some people, but for me, in my experience, in dating men, if they really lack confidence, it ends up turning abusive to an extent, not necessarily physical, because we get fixated on, abuse is just someone popping you upside your head, right? But it's, there's emotional, there's mental, there's verbal, abuse. And when they're very insecure and lack confidence, and this is on both sides, they will end up projecting. My therapist said that when you are going to stop being his mother, I was like, yeah, exactly. That job was supposed to be taken care of before he even got to you. So, and I say that the same thing with a woman. I've been watching, what is it? No, not Married at First Sight, but Love is Blind, the new season. And I mean, the young lady who was on there, used to be a big girl. She lost weight, but she's still very insecure. But the way that she is unloading the projecting, and her insecurities on this man, I'm like, how can you survive that? Like, it's like anything she says, well, when you say that word, it makes me think this, and I'm just like, this is dangerous. Like, it's so dangerous. So definitely, to Tammy's question, like, to what Rachel said, don't do it.
I
Don't do
and I
it.
would just
Don't do
say,
it.
I would just say to that point, to the women, don't marry. I would say even further, don't commit in dating. You can date a man with low confidence, just don't commit to him. And the reason I say that is because what you don't want to do is lose out on me. Now let me say this before I
say that.
Let me clear this up before I get somebody in the comments trying to like, who you think you are? Check this out. Had my wife got rid of me when she first seen the chinks in my armor and my confidence was low and the things that I was doing in my life wasn't suitable at that time, we wouldn't be where we are right now. Now, I don't tell anybody to take the route that I went through because let me tell you, it's a rough route that I went. I don't want anybody to go that route. What I'm saying is I don't want you to miss a blessing because you're hasty, right? Because if my wife was hasty and listened to the majority of people around her at that time, oh, he's just a drug dealer. He can never get his life together. Like all he's gonna do is run the streets. I just put a video up on my page where I was shouting and dancing, and I put up every last comment that I remember everyone telling me in my life that what I wasn't gonna do. Or what I wasn't going to be. And to this day, they told me I wasn't going to be C30. I'm 37 years old. I have a family, a beautiful one at that. I have 2 beautiful children. I'm a phenomenal coach with an outstanding business right now, super successful in what I'm doing. But if you had seen me 5-6 years ago, you wouldn't have seen the same man currently. So what I'm saying is to the women out there, don't put all your eggs in one basket right away. But also pay attention to his character. Because this character is going to tell you everything you need to know about that man. Whether he's going to get up off his behind and move. Because that was one thing my wife never had to worry about. I'm always going to get up and go get it.
Right.
It's certain traits, certain characteristics of a man is going to tell you everything you need to know. Just got to be vigilant and patient to see them. Now, I'm not telling you to waste your youth now. Don't get me wrong, because you beautiful queens out there, I do not
those good years.
Wasting y'all youth. What I want you to do is value your time and also give the man some grace, because we as men, we haven't been able to cry. Like y'all 2 beautiful queens on this platform right now, in the same room that we're all sitting in as children. When you fell, somebody came and hugged you. When I fell, somebody told me to tighten up. Right. So subconsciously, there's a fight going on between me and you, because I want the love that you got in your entire life. The little boy in me is still looking for love and still looking to be nurtured in certain kind of ways. So give that man a little bit of space and grace. I'm not saying I'm gonna let him off the hook now. Don't get me wrong. Give him a little bit of grace and space.
Oh yeah, it's needed in our relationships, 100%. Definitely believe in that. So love it, Rachel.
No, I was going to say, and that's why I'm a big fan of dating more than one person at a time, because that's kind of like what I was trying to say. But I will tell you, date them all is what I would say, and you commit to the one who steps up. And be open. Like, obviously, to me, it's none of their business who I'm dating, but everybody knows. I say it all the time, and everybody knows. So even when a guy approaches me, he's like, yeah, I know you're dating. Like, this guy said to me on the phone the other day, he said, I'm all the other men in your life, they're vying for silver. And I laughed, and I was like, oh, that's cute. Because he's saying that because he knows. He's like, they're going for silver. I'm gonna get gold. I said, great. That's great. That's great.
He knows he's in the game. He knows
competition. And then he'll also will boost his confidence as well. So we think, because we get told these messages from social media, from people, culture, whatever. But when you're dating more than one person, that guy who's not as confident, he will realize, wait a second, I've got a gem here. I need to, if I want her, I need to kind of like step up. When you're like, oh, I'm busy Friday, and he can't get hold of you because you're out, you're doing something else. You don't have to be dating. You could be out with your girlfriends. You could be at church. You could be
going your business.
Yeah, doing whatever you're doing, but you're not as available. Right. Then that also stops you from like focusing on just that one person and those things. And just when you're too focused on him and his issues, you don't have time to focus on yourself. So number one, focus on yourself. Number two, do what is better for you, which is to see more than one person, because also what happens, that helps you to see what you like and what you don't like.
Right.
And then actually, relationships can go faster sometimes like that, because the person who wants you, he's going to want to marry you. So what's going to happen is he's going to step up to the plate, and then here you are, engaged faster than you thought because you dated more people. So that's just a couple of things as well around that.
And this whole, I know we're going on a tangent, but I want to debunk this myth right now too. Like, this whole showing up to get a trophy culture is the problem with so many of our men of confidence. Just because you showed up don't make you get an award, and you gotta compete in life. I don't know where this whole thing is. Are we all gonna get a trophy because we showed up? No, there is somebody else on the other side of that door trying to get the same gift you're trying to get, and if you're not out here trying to get it as bad as anybody else, you don't deserve it. If you're not going to work at it, you don't deserve it.
Right. Exactly. And I say this, I've been saying this since I first seen it, when they started giving all these children trophies just for being there. And I said, no.
Second place. I would throw it in the trash.
It's dangerous. Don't give all them kids trophies just for being there because they feelings. No, they need to know that life, you have to keep pushing yourself. And I guess if you don't have a matrix system, you won't try. And if we're all going to get a trophy, why would I put in effort if I can just wake up and get one?
And that's why
we got you here.
And that's the last thing I'll say on this is, that's why when a man settles and then he marries you because you stuck around, as soon as he gets his confidence, he's going after his preference.
Right. What he really wanted.
Trust me on that. He will go after who he really wanted, who gives him a challenge, because he will marry you. Oh yeah, you'll get married. Don't worry. You stay dating for 5 years, 7 years. Yeah, you'll get married eventually. You might have some children too, but he will, when he gets his confidence, he will marry his preference, because those women would not sit around the time that you did.
That's right. Well, drop some gems. Okay, so let's get into, what is this false confidence? What does it mean to have false confidence? Because there are a lot of people who are out there like, oh, I'm confident. And it's just like, no, if you were confident, you wouldn't move like that. So let's talk about it. RJ, what does this false confidence look like? What does it mean?
Now, and I say this is my explanation of it, before somebody else say this is not the way. This is my explanation of it. So
yes,
there's confidence, right? There's self-confidence and there's self-esteem. If you have a higher level of self-confidence without the esteem, that's where arrogance sits in that. Because you have a delusion about what you really are, right? You have to have an understanding about what you are in the human, real reality world. I don't mean social media or what you're trying to be, or what you're longing to be, or your phantom states of living. No, I'm talking about your reality, your current state of living. What are you? If you have a belief in that and you know what that's about, that's where the real confidence is. But if you're delusional and your confidence is up here, but your self-esteem, which is your self-respect, your dignity, and how you see yourself, if that's down here, then yes, that's complete false confidence. And it's only a matter of time before you self-destruct, because guess what's going to happen? Somebody's going to say something to you that's going to trigger that insecurity, that's going to explode. You're going to do a few things in public. You're going to lash out. You're going to expose your truth to the world, because everyone's going to see you being exposed, and insecurity is becoming seep out of you. And my favorite slogan is this: deal with your insecurities before they deal with you. Because one thing that's going to happen is when your trigger is triggered off, there is no stopping that. People don't understand.
Control it.
I can control my. No, you cannot. Until you've addressed your insecurity, you cannot control the trigger. Once that trigger is pulled, the bullet's coming out regardless. So once the triggers happen, it's already too late. You gotta do the work before then. Find out what the insecurities are. Me, like I said, I found out, hey, I wasn't as confident as I was in my own relationship. I had to do the work. Now, guess what? Months later, there's not one person on earth that can make me question my relationship, because I've done the work and done the real work. So there's no room for false confidence, because now, guess what? The next concert we go to, there's not going to be any insecurities to deal with, because I've dealt with those. So you got to deal with who you are for real. and not let social media be your measuring tool of who you really are in life.
That's
yes.
so good, so good, RJ. I hope everyone's taking notes from this amazing
Yes.
that you're receiving for free. I think false confidence, I think, again, it goes back to like, so for me, I am very accountable, like, to myself. So the lack of the way that you can be false confident, show false confidence, is when you're not self accountable. So I don't like, okay, so I know people are not going to like this because we're on the HBCU channel, but I don't like calling everybody kings and queens. I tell you why. I tell you why, because I call people queens when you are behaving and conducting yourself as a queen. Every man isn't a king.
Talk to me nice.
Because
There you go.
some people, somebody's going to have to be staff here. Someone's going to have to be this. Someone's going to have to do that. Everyone can't be king and queen. Like, it's actually not even possible for us all to be kings and queens, but that's another story altogether. But the reason why I say that is because that's how we get false confidence. So a woman thinks that she's a queen, but she has no evidence. She has no queendom. She has no class. She has, I don't, like, what's the evidence that you're this person? And so a woman walk into a relationship and think that she's all that, but she hasn't done the work. She hasn't done the inner work. She still has issues about her mum being jealous of her and her dad abandoning her, or blah, 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 or whatever it was. Or, you know, you went to HBCU and you weren't black enough. Which is an experience I had. Anyway, I went to HBCU.
Me too. I'm not woke enough, Rachel. They tell me all the time I'm not woke enough. I'm not black enough.
Yeah, I went to HBCU for a short period of time, so I had that experience too. I was like, wow, okay, there's scales of blackness. Okay, got it. You know, so
there's levels to this.
There are levels, and when you haven't done the work, but you kind of like pretend, there's a difference between having faith and faith in it till you're making it, and faking it till you're making it. Two very different things.
Right.
Okay. When you have the faith to know that you're getting there, the law of assumption says that you assume and believe and act as though it's already there. So that's different.
Right. So you manifesting that thing.
Absolutely. And every day you're actively behaving in that way. So you might not live in a mansion yet, but you buy small things. When you go to Home Goods, you look for those quality items. You look for Calvin Klein or Ralph Lauren or whatever on sale, but you're still wearing the quality, but you don't have the finances for the full price, but you are making active steps into becoming that person. Whereas somebody's being fake and like, oh, I'm a queen, I'm this and that, and like nothing in your life is showing me that. And I'm not talking about the past. I'm talking about, are you actively showing yourself as that person? That's what I would call self-confidence, a lack of self-awareness, lack of self-accountability, and be honest with yourself. Like, you know, I'll use one example, and then I'm sure RJ's got some great responses to this as well. You know, I'm 38. I've been married before. I don't have any children. There's a list of things that people might see as a negative. I'm dark skinned. You know, the things that there are different things that people will view, regardless of whether you agree or not. There are perceptions people will have based on those things. They'll be like, oh, you're not going to marry who you think you're going to marry. Or you're never going to have kids. Or, you know, no one likes this, or no one likes blah, blah, blah.
Projecting.
Right. But the thing is, some of those things could be true. And if I was falsely confident, I would go where I'm not being celebrated. I would date men who are colorists. I would, you know, use excuses. I would, like, you know, put on loads of weight and then blame and then say, oh, I can't have children because, you know, like all these kind of things. Whereas
that's good. That's right.
Self-accountability means that I'm 38, so I need to be keeping my body right. You know, I need to be, you know, I know that I'm darker skinned, so I date men who love chocolate.
Right.
Very simple. Very simple.
Exactly.
So you do the things that's the difference between someone who's like, nobody likes me, but I'm amazing. And it's like, well, that's a lack of awareness, because you need to go where you're celebrated, etc. So that's where I would differentiate, like show what an example of false confidence can look like.
And that's how you let that awareness do the work. You know, I say that all the time. Like, I'm a curvy woman, so I don't date guys who are like, I want a woman who's a size 3. Okay, like, why would I even do that to myself? You're like, oh no, I'm gonna make no, because I'm a bad chick and I'm gonna make him love me. Like, no, the man doesn't like curvy, voluptuous women. So I'm gonna go over here where this man is
Come on, where the real men is at. That's what I'm saying about that. Come on,
where
where
the
the
man
real
is
men
just
is at.
like, this is all like my friend says. He said, I gotta have a 250 a minute. I was like, wow, okay. I said, but I would prefer a man who wants that
Right.
versus a man who wants something else, and then I'm constantly getting put down. Like, babe, get in the gym, babe. You could just eat these carrots. You don't need to eat that mashed potatoes and gravy.
Offering you celery while he eating the steak, right? Like, wait a minute.
Exactly. You're like, well, I want a whole meal.
But seriously, like it's a funny point, but it's so serious because it happens in so many of our relationships. Like this,
yeah,
because the man is not confident, and it goes back to even before the relationship. Let me walk on this path right quick. So we as men, we hang out with our boys, right? We hear what our boys say. Oh, that's what I like to have in my life too. Because the truth of the matter is, a bunch of my homeboys was on the same wave. Oh, nah, she got to be slim. She got to be this. And I'm like, well, I like her a little bit more curvy. I don't. And what happened was, if I would allow myself to attach to what they wanted and not be confident in myself about what I wanted, I would have then found a woman out here that fit their standard. And then I would have tried to make her and mold her into what I want her to be, instead of just saying, you're not what I want. And me go have confidence in myself to know I can go find what I want. Exactly. That's the difference. Like when you have confidence and real confidence, you know you can go out there and find who wants you. And like you said, sweetheart, I'm sorry, Rachel, you said about being tolerated. It's not about being tolerated. It's about being celebrated. So if someone is just tolerating you, they don't deserve your energy. They don't deserve your presence. And you have to have enough confidence in yourself to say, you know what? I'm not going to just stand around and be tolerated. There's somebody around the corner that's going to celebrate my existence. And you got to be confident in yourself and know that, I'm enough in my own skin and who I am and what I'm about.
And that's how you're accountable for your experiences, right? So sometimes you're not even thinking about that. But once you hear that, it's going to shift the experiences that you have, because if you're constantly putting yourself in situations or environments where the people don't really fool with you, as we say, they don't really fool with you, then you're just there and they're tolerating you, and you never get to like feel good and enjoy, those experiences. But if you're around people who love you and people who, just like who you are as a person, or they think you're beautiful, they just enjoy your personality, then your experience are going to be enjoyable, So it's kind of like fully take that ownership, So love that. Love what you guys are saying. So we have our last question. I was looking to see if there was any additional questions in the audience. You guys can throw them in the chat so we can try and touch them, because we're about to wrap it up. But our last question is, what would you guys say to someone who is trying to build their confidence? They're not confident, they know it, but they want to be more confident because all of these benefits that we talked about tonight. What would you say, Rachel, to someone who is like, sis, I like to build my confidence. I want to be that it girl.
Yeah, I think it's a great question, because number one, even someone asking that question, it shows what we're talking about. It shows that you're aware, you're self-aware, and you're accountable for your own feelings. So I think, first of all, I want to say thank you for anybody that's asking that question right now, because that is the first step, is your own awareness of your own lacks and inadequacies. That's the only way you can change and grow in that. And I think that what's really helped me is, number one, what I started off this conversation with, about knowing that God made me. And the Bible says that he made us in his own likeness, in his image. So when I start there, literally anything else that comes into my mind, I am able to switch. Like if something's happening in my life, like something's not going well, I'm like, wait a second, I'm his image. Hold on, let me fix that. So by knowing that, whether you're, I don't know what, everyone's got different spiritual beliefs, but these are the two tools that really help me. My spirituality really helps me with this. And knowing that you were born for this moment, knowing that you were born for now, and knowing that you're not an accident, regardless of the circumstance of your birth, because sometimes that can be a hindrance, where we're like, we remember that our mum said this, or our dad said this, or your grandma said this about you, and then it can kind of like discourage you. But don't worry about in the supernatural realm, you were always meant to be born. So just forget about that. And I think
Love it.
starting with those really help. And then having confidence in who you are and what you carry. So learning more about your personality, take personality tests, do your Enneagram, all those things that kind of like are tools. They're just tools. They're not actual, like, I wouldn't live your life by them, but they're just tools for you to see, oh, I'm an Enneagram 7 and I'm also a high D on the disc. Okay, now that makes sense as to why I did this last year, because this is the kind of person I am. So these things are tools that are really good. And I think as well, a couple more things that help for me is like keeping myself accountable, like I said, but don't be overly critical. So I'm not over critical about certain things that I make. Even when I make a detour, not a mistake, when I make a detour in my purpose journey, I'm like, okay, Rachel, so you went over there and you did that. Great. What did you learn from that? Let's not do it again. And kind of like that self accountability, focus on the good qualities that you do have. Every day, write things and say things. My self concept is so high these days because I continue to affirm certain things like, I'm the most amazing woman he's ever met. I'm always going to be loved. I'm always going to be cherished, loved, and adored.
Yes.
My skin looks amazing today. My body is the best it's ever been. I'm at my favorite body weight I could ever be. Like, whatever the things are that you think are holding you back, you can switch them into affirmations. And that's really, really helped me. And I think the last thing that I will say is that one of my favorite verses in the Bible is from Philippians 4, verse 13. And it says that I find the strength of Christ's explosive power infuses me to conquer every difficulty. And that's from the Passion Translation. And the reason why I say that is because you realize, wow, I can conquer anything. And when you know that, one thing I've been saying over the years is I can rise from anything. And people may
Love it.
look at, people may look at someone like me and be like, well, it's easy for you because blah, blah, blah. But literally, you literally have no idea the things I've had to overcome. And if I was to tell you, you would be in awe, only because of what it was and the things I've been through, but because my self-concept and my awareness of who I am, regardless of the circumstances, that's what really makes a difference. So those are the things, the tools that I would say. The last thing I'll say is this. Is that what really helps me as well is wearing things that really make me feel good. So I wear a lot of red. In the last like 2 years, I wear like mostly red. I wear things that make me feel good. I do my hair in a way it makes me feel good. Have sheets on your bed that make you feel good. Like all the things, do things, add things in your life, because life can be stressful. So look at massage. And someone asked, so I swear I'm finishing now. Someone asked me the other day, they were like, oh, you talk about luxury. How did you come to that awareness? I said, I realized it was always who I was. So now a massage is an extra. My nails aren't extra. My hair appointment isn't extra. That's actually a part of my budget. That's like, it just has to be paid for somehow. And so when you make those, whatever you need to feel better. So massages, therapy, counseling, going to church, whatever those things are, add those to your schedule and make them non-negotiable.
Right. Mandatory.
Yeah, whatever you can do to make your life better, do it. That will help boost your confidence.
Definitely. I love it. All righty. And RJ, if you could share with us, how would you, help a person? Well, that's what you do.
I
What would you
was
say?
about to say, I'm about to give it away. Like, so what I'm about to do is
Give it away.
really give it away. So check this out. Now, I give this away at a premium price. So I'm giving this away right now. So take out your pens and pads.
All right. Be a blessing today.
So check this out. Whenever you need to build something, you need a GPS, right? You're like, building a GPS? What? Yes, you need a GPS, even to get someplace and to build something. You need a goal, you need a plan, you need a strategy. I'm sorry, a system. So I'm going to give you the strategy and system right now. I call it the 5 E's. Whenever you're looking to build confidence in any area of your life, you have to do these 5 E's. You got to evaluate where you are, right? You got to be honest too. And you can't play with yourself. I call this the butt naked exam. It's when you literally get in front of your mirror, butt naked, and stare at yourself in the face, and you see yourself for who you truly are. You got to evaluate yourself and do a real audit, because this is the foundation of you getting to where you want to be. If you play with yourself right here in this stage of the game, you'll lose it throughout the rest of the process. So at this point of you being very on point and serious about your life is very important. So once you evaluate where you are, it's now time to start eliminating things that are slowing you down, right? You've done the evaluation. You've seen the thing that's stopping you from being the person you want to be, because you know, and come on, let's be honest now. You know what's holding you back from where you want to be. Don't sit here and pretend like you don't, because we all do. We know those little nagging things that we know we shouldn't be doing, or we should be doing, that we need to take to another level we're not doing. So we got to be honest and eliminate those things that are distracting us. After that part of the process, you got to get to the next E, which is educate yourself. Now, I don't mean going learning the whole bunch of book knowledge and all those other nonsense. I mean learning you. Learning, like you said, my queen said earlier, about your tests. It's time to take those tests to find out your personality traits. It's time to find out why you operate the way you operate. And the truth of the matter is, once you figure those things out, you can almost relieve yourself, because you'll learn it's not your fault. A lot of things that we do and we go through is because we haven't really checked ourselves. Our lives are not our own. Our names were given to us. Our birthright was given to us. Even our religion and everything we fight about on this earth was given to us. So until we check it and really find out what it's about, we can't own it. So now we got to learn who we are. Educate yourself on yourself. Excuse me. And the next part of the equation is to execute. Because now, if you're sitting around with all this knowledge in your head, it's pointless. Oh, knowledge is power. No, it's not. It's a waste of space if you don't execute on it. It's a waste of time if you don't put it to practice. Because right now, if I sat in this room and I read 3,000 books but didn't put one page to use, I wasted my time. It's pointless. So at this page again, we got to execute. You got to do everything throughout the entire process and on a high level. Because at this stage of the game, if you're not moving on a high level, you're playing games with yourself. The last part of the process is to evolve, right? Everything around you must evolve. The people, the places, the things, the conversations you're having, everything about you must evolve if you're looking to go to another level in life. And the last and final point is this. In order for you to do anything I just mentioned, you got to be a keeper of your own gates. You got to watch what you're listening to. You got to watch what you're looking at. Even in the environments you're sitting in, because the truth of the matter is some of the environments are toxic to your future.
So true.
So the person that's looking to build confidence, evaluate where you are, eliminate your excuses, educate yourself on who you are and where you want to go, execute on those factors, and your evolution is promised to you. Because remember, your birthright, from birthright, you are granted grace, space, opportunities, and the world is yours. So with that being said, grow your confidence and be a better individual, not just for yourself, but for your family and people around you.
Oof, I love it. I love it. And it's so funny because what you were saying, that last part, it just made me think of what my mom always says, what you put in is what comes out. So you definitely do have to, guard that gate, and be aware. But also, I'd like to say just to the audience as well, is just understanding and knowing, yes, you can work on these things, build and develop, but take this piece that you were created and you were prepackaged, you were fully loaded with everything it is that you need, to be successful in your purpose, your individual purpose. So don't worry about this person and that person and what they got going on, because you have what you need. You just have to remember that.
One last thing, because you said you already built with it. And the truth of the matter is, everything that's happened or will happen is already done.
It's done. It's written.
You are whoever you need to be. And it's already done already. Like, I'm already the world's best character and confidence development coach in the world. All I have to do is keep showing up. Like, God's already at the end of this race waiting for us there, and it's already done. So all we have to do is keep showing up and realizing that we are who we say we are.
I love it. I love it. Well, we're going to wrap it up. I want you guys to just give your social media. It's here on the screen, but if you guys want to, RJ, say where they can find you in any services that you provide, and then we'll go to Miss Rachel Yvonne.
Sure. At first, no. See, the reason I paused is because I had no other choice. I had to let the lady go first. I'm not going to be a gentleman if I don't. So she has
That's
to.
right. That's right. My bad. I had it written that way. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No worries. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. My name's Rachel Yvonne, and you can actually find me everywhere with the same name that you see here. No hyphen, just Rachel Yvonne everywhere, all over the internet streets. And yeah, I do have things available. I'm actually doing a seminar next week called How to Be That Girl. Essentially talking about everything we talked about today. So if you go on my Instagram, you can go ahead and have a look, and everything you need will be there. Thanks so much for this opportunity. And to be a part of this conversation. It truly has been an honor and a privilege. Thank you.
Definitely. And I'm glad, we're so glad to have you. I couldn't think of a better woman to guide us in this conversation. And next, RJ, if you can
Yes.
let us know.
I want to say thank you for having me, as well as my sister, Rachel, on this platform, because this is giving me energy, right? This gave me a certain life tonight to my evening that I wasn't planning on having. So I'm super excited about this conversation and just being a part of it. So thank you so much for having me. If you're looking for me, RJD Imperfect Gentleman on all social media. I'm a men's character and confidence development coach. If you want to book a session with me, just go over to my Instagram page and get on my calendar. The call is free. I don't charge anyone for the first call, and we sit and we go in depth into about if I can help you, if I cannot help you. I also have resources to give if I cannot. I believe that if I can't do it, someone in my network of men can help you. So trust me when I tell you, if I can't, I know someone who can. So don't be out there doing this on your own, because it's not necessary. There are some places for men, safe spaces that we can help each other develop and be a men, not only us for our own needs, but our family and our community. Because if we get ourselves right as men, our queens and our women will be just fine. I can promise you that.
Yes, 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 yes. Well, thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate it, both of you. And to the audience, thank you so much for watching this evening. And join us next time in 2 weeks. We will be talking about me before we. It's all about who we are before we get married and into relationships. So we will see you then. Good evening. Have a great night.